I saw this come through from Cabrutus on X, and shout out to him for catching something very curious. He said, women talking in video games. And we have what we always love to see: presentations, gender, male and female. You know what I find really funny about these people when they go on their rants of more female representation? There always seem to be just two genders when they need to make a presentation on it. Isn't that interesting, by the way? It's not ambiguous anymore when they make money off of it. Funny how that works. Weird. So it goes through showing Final Fantasy with female and male in the original, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 4. I don't know why they skipped 3 there, but Final Fantasy 5, 6, and then it goes on and on and on. And it shows how over time there's been, and this is percent words spoken, there's been generally more women speaking as the games progress in time. And this is classic here. Gender, female and male, Horizon Zero Dawn. The main protagonist, Aloy, being a girl. And it's still less than 50% of the dialogue spoken in the game. That's amazing. And then Forbidden West, when it's nearly 3/4 of the game is girl boss talking, which is classic because there's a reply we'll get to on this, but how Horizon Forbidden West failed so bad. And before we even get into this, this is from tropeinformed.com, which I've done some research on them. They said, what's going wrong with women's dialogue? It's not that each individual woman is not given enough dialogue, ... but rather there aren't enough women speaking. For what? When they speak, they have a narrow range of things to say. Okay. There are gender biases in the content of what they say and what is said to them. So I will tell you guys straight up, this is activism inserting itself in the game industry. If you go into the industry and you're saying your game doesn't have enough XYZ in it, get the out of the industry. If people are enjoying the products that are being made, you don't need to add additional things to change it to make it worse. You could argue if you just let artists create the art, the games will be the best they could ever be. These activists come in and destroy the industry. Imagine the activists coming in and telling Leonardo da Vinci, there's not enough red paint in your Mona Lisa. You need more red paint. I'm sorry. Are you the fucking artist here? What are you doing in my room where I'm painting this picture? Get the fuck out of here. You do not know what makes a good game. I don't care about equality of enough representation of colors on my picture. Get out of here with this. These biases apply not just to main characters, but minor and background characters. Everyone's more likely to speak to a man. Sounds like you need more men in the game then, wouldn't you think? Players can't avoid the gender biases in dialogue. These are pervasive problems, according to who? People that don't play video games? I like Endymion, base Final Fantasy. That's cheeky. The issue is they aren't listening to actual gaming women who may be a minority in gaming and silencing them. That's because we like games, not agendas and trendy virtue signaling. They don't like what we have more in common with the majority male gamers and what we like in the games. There's nothing wrong with games being made for different target audiences. The issue is that the people pushing the agenda don't want some, they want it all. They cannot appreciate games that don't meet their tunneled view. 100% banger comment, by the way, by Cheeky. 100%. If a game needs more women in it, by all means, put more women in your game. And if people are drawn to purchasing that product, then shit, that's the direction the market and the free market, capitalism, the thing that is the kryptonite to communists, the free market decides what games they want to buy. That's why communism goes hand in hand with the activists, because they don't want you to have freedom of choice. They want to tell you what you're allowed to buy. So I did a little bit more research on this situation. We got Flash saying based retro gaming and Grum's saying What is the obsession with having women talk more than men in games? It's got to make you wonder, right? And there was a response, let us help you, in the quotes. Horizon Zero Dawn, over 20 million sold. Horizon Forbidden West, with nearly 75% female speaking, over 8.4 million sold. What a massive failure compared to the first one, by the way. It speaks volumes. So with the original post from Cabrutus and women talking in games, I said, Grok, what is this from? And provide sources. Grok never replied, but you know who did? This ZPXKMA person. They said, from their site, they recently went to Adventure X. And through that, I found this Blue Sky post where these screens originated from. I'm not Grok, which shout out to them because this was a great find. Over on Blue Sky, the proportion of female to male dialogue in Final Fantasy. This is Rebecca McCarthy, who is a senior game writer, narrative designer. Hire me. Oh, looking for a job. I'm shocked. Horizon series has more female dialogue. Yes, and less sales the more it does. Number one reason, less female characters. In Monkey Island, lots of women characters, but they don't talk to each other. Men are more likely to speak to other men. It's not each game that's bad. It's a pattern. I got to be honest. I've worked in the game industry. I've been playing video games since I was in diapers. I've never once in my entire life thought, hey, how much are women speaking in games compared to men? That doesn't even enter my mind ever. It never has. It never would without this kind of stuff. And that's not a good thing. This stuff should not be out there. This is trying to influence how games are made to push an agenda. Activism. It's not each game that's bad. It's a pattern. Writers note that they have Tula to look at thousands. They mean tools. They have tools to look at thousands of lines at RPG dialogue at Trope Informed. This talk was by Steph Rennick and Sean Roberts. Sean with the tilde on the A. Is that Canadian? What's going wrong with women's dialogue in video games? Check out the QR code above and fill out the survey if this talk resonates. They said it helps them. Oh, yeah, I bet it does. So I went to the Trope Informed website, right? Would you believe me if I told you that what this is? It's a consulting company. I know you're all shocked. It's, at the end of the day, no different than Sweet Baby Inc. Research tools and consulting for games. Tropes are tools that can make or break a player's experience. We develop tools and undertake research to identify. So they create a problem and then sell you the fix to the problem that they've created. Classic consulting agenda. And evidence patterns in video game writing and design and demonstrate when and how they might be subverted or averted. What if that's part of what you want your game to be? How's it a problem? Help me. Our work aims to empower game makers to make informed choices about representation, agency, optionality, and dialogue, and enable you to make the games you want to make. Well, shit, I don't need you to make the game I want to make. That's the opposite of involving you. So hardcore DEI alert. Yes. And diving further into their tools on the website, you guys aren't going to believe it, but they have a game they made. And the game is awful. And it's so bad that I really want to showcase it to you. In order to undertake our research, we build custom tools, software, and resources. Here you can find more about our tools. The video game dialogue corpus. Play a game to learn about the video game dialogue corpus. Guys, the audio in this is going to be really loud. So headphone warning before I go any further. There is no settings menu. There is no way to turn it down. I tried my best beforehand. There's nothing. So just deal with it. Here we go. Welcome to the video game dialogue. I used to be a researcher like you. Then I took an arrow to the knee. How old is this thing? My career was hamstrung. And now it gets really loud. Holy crap. Gamer after slow. Girl. Your name is Girl. Let's play a game. How much dialogue is female male character. 5%. No way. Oh no, way too high. I just entered a different screen. Want to know some secrets? The art comes from the mana seed tile sets, and get this. Music was composed. Holy shit, the music's too loud. We wouldn't turn it off even if we could. Holy shit. I can't, guys, I can't. It's way too loud. But either way, their entire business model is predicated on creating a problem to sell a solution to you. How is this a problem? How? Like, what they're saying is girls don't talk enough in games. That's like saying like girls need to talk more in games for the games to be better. Where's your research on proving that? How can you prove that? I could argue the exact opposite with your own slides that you showcase, where the more times a girl speaks, the less sales it gets. So why would someone buy your product? Who are these people? Who's financing them? It's the best grift going, by the way. I got to be honest. If I had zero morals, I could open up a consultancy company tomorrow, find a black friend or a marginalized or just a girl. I'll open it with my wife and I'll just tell people she's bi or something and be like, yeah, we have a consultancy firm, 50% minority owned or whatever they want to call it. And we will talk to your organization about why you need, I don't know, more gay people in your game, because that's what you need in your game. Why? They can never answer that question. It's wild. That's a real thing, and it's recent. So this shit isn't going away. So shout out again to Brutus for finding it and sharing it, because damn, for free access to tools and research, go to Trope Informed, which, by the way, for the consultancy requests, I went to go find info on it. There's no information on how much they cost, what the charges. You have to email them and ask them, and they will quote you depending on what your situation is. Shady as fuck. Basically one of those, well, how much could you afford to pay us? Because, yeah, that's what it costs. Oh, man, good times. I can't wait for this era of gaming to go away and for gaming to actually get back to real video games. KN for the P50. Open ZPXKMA comment thread. He found a live stream. Oh, boy. Thank you for that, KN. Holy shit. This is going to be taken down soon. I should probably load it up. Holy shit. This is Adventure X 2025 day 1 on Adventure X with 1,630 subscribers, 708 views from 3 days ago, with one comment that says, well done on a great weekend. Oh boy.
What's wrong with women's dialogue in video games?
Thank you very much. Oh, I can hear.
By the way, they know what they're doing is complete fraud. Like, they know it's a complete joke what they're trying to peddle. This is the modern day equivalent of a snake oil salesman. And they go up on stage to be like, well, here's the problem. All right. Here's the problem. There's not enough girls talking. We need to get more girls talking in game. Since when? This is the newest issue I've ever heard of. What? Since when?
Myself now. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah. It might have been obvious, but I'm Steph. I'm a philosopher from the
I don't know. It's a game industry. It's not really obvious.
University of Stirling.
And I'm Sean. I'm a linguist from Cardiff.
And today we're going to talk about our research about what's going wrong with women's dialogue in video games. So we are interested in patterns, tropes, stereotypes, biases in game mechanics, in worlds, in characters, in stories. Some of those patterns are things that players notice and complain about or praise online, and others kind of fly beyond the radar, but all of them, we think, affect their experience when they play games. We're here because all of our research is designed to help very creative people like you make games for us to play, rather selfishly. And we want to help you make the kinds of games you want to play, whether that's...
This is so boring. These people, you're wearing a shirt or dress or whatever, muumuu. Yeah, it's a muumuu. You're wearing a muumuu of video games. But nothing about what you're talking about tells me that you know a damn thing about video games. Just because you're wearing this does not trick people.
Games with better gender representation, games that enhance player
Define better. What does better gender representation mean? That is activism words. That's not gamer talk. That's activism. Get the fuck out of the industry. Gatekeep harder. Get these people out. Every time they open their fucking mouth, shut them down. Nope.
agency, games that are more realistic, or games that are more immersive.
No, now they're mixing in like other things that are actual like game mechanics into, they're trying to muddy the waters and make it seem like the graphics are the same thing as gender equality in the game. Like what?
And we think that making these kinds of patterns visible can help you to do that. We're not interested in telling you what kind of games to play, you know that much better than us, but rather to empower you to make informed choices based on the games you want to design.
They want to impact how you think.
And we're going to suggest how some of these patterns can be subverted or averted. Now, our work involves designing a bunch of tools and doing a bunch of research that helps answer a whole range of questions on different topics. But today we're focusing on just one, gender representation in dialogue. So why should we care? I mean, I think many of you
This ought to be good. Why should we care, guys? Why should we care?
do already. We know that roughly half of people who play video games are women.
It's so tiring. That has been debunked so many times that it's exhausting to even open my mouth to try to debunk it again. This is the bullshit that we deal with those stupid surveys that they come out with. And the headlines are 50% of gamers are women or 48%. The fuck they are. How did you get there? Who did you survey? And then you dive in and you're like, oh, it's actually, if you play a game for 1 hour, was it a week or a month? I don't remember what it was. You're considered a gamer, even if you play it on your mobile phone. And I've said this a million times. My wife is the furthest thing from a gamer. She'll load up Bejeweled for 20 minutes every 2 or 3 nights before she goes to bed just to go to sleep. Apparently that makes her a gamer on this. She would have to check. Yes, I play that for over an hour a week because I guess she does. She's a gamer, guys. So now we need gender representation in fucking RPGs that she is never going to touch in her life. Nor does she ever want to touch in her life. Nor does she ever care to ever want to get to that point, ever.
And that women and gender minority people have a rough time in the gaming
the sad
community
girl phase.
for a bunch of obvious and some not so obvious ways. To shed a little bit of light on this, we did a survey in collaboration with Swedish game company.
It's in the UK. Why am I not surprised? Keir Starmer's probably in the audience.
Done games and surveyed 1,000 people who identify as women who play mobile games, and most of them.
Oh, hold the phone. People who identify as women. Why not just women? What people who identify as women? That doesn't count. Your survey is already flawed.
Also play games on PC and console. And we found some striking.
I identify as a multi-billionaire, but the bank won't let me buy the mansion that I want. It's a very bigoted bank. Why are you mad at the bank? This is bullshit.
Results. So 41% of those surveyed reported that playing games really felt like a highlight of their lives. It was something that they felt looked forward to doing on a daily basis. But just
41% feel that playing games is the daily highlight in their lives. UK women are saying that. That speaks volumes of how fucking depressing society is in the UK. If 41% of women are saying that playing a game is their daily highlight, yikes. Yikes. 29% feel guilty about taking time to play, but no relation to time spent playing. Oh my God.
A third reported feeling guilty about taking time to play. Now, what was particularly surprising for us is that guilt or shame or keeping secrets for fear of judgment from family and friends about your play didn't correlate with playing less. So there's a whole bunch of people out there who are playing quite a lot of games and feeling really bad about it. 16.
Wouldn't you be like promoting a healthier lifestyle, getting outside, exercising more? I mean, let's look at yourself, lady. What you want it? You want them to be more miserable in their life? You're trying to get. They're admitting the more they play games, the more depressed they are. So you think the answer to that is to get them to play more games by inserting more female representation into the games? Am I understanding her argument correctly here? Because it seems inherently flawed.
15% of those women surveyed reported that they keep their gaming a secret. Perhaps most shockingly, you're more likely to keep it a secret if you're proud of your gaming achievements as a woman. So we think this and the whole lot of data that we got off the back of this survey is indicative that many women, not all women, but many women feel that gaming isn't for them, even when they really love doing it, that it's not designed for them, that it's not the sort of thing they should identify with.
Okay, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. There's so many games. There's never been more opportunities and more games to choose from in the world in human history right now. This wasn't a problem in the 80s with girls playing games on the NES or Atari. This wasn't a problem in the 90s on the Super Nintendo and Genesis. This wasn't a problem in the 2000s with the PlayStation and Xbox. Apparently it's a problem now, though, because reasons, even though there's, 100 times the amount of games now? Cozy games, puzzle games, female-only games. Like, what? There's literally pick of the litter from anyone, whatever you want. The hell is she talking about?
Not a subject that they can bond with other people over. And we think, that's not wanting to go back, we think that obviously that's a really big conflict.
This dude's hardcore, definitely cuck. He definitely watches. You can't possibly be doing this seriously. Come on, bro.
Problem, but that we might be able to make some.
Imagine being a dude and having a conversation and a presentation and telling people that more girls need to be in games. You're a fucking dude. Holy shit.
Way by making game worlds more inviting for women players. But there's not just a moral or emotional motivation for doing this, there's also financial incentive. So the Gina Davis Institute Playbook for Inclusive Game Design features some really interesting statistics, including stats from gamers.
They love stats because they can twist stats into whatever they want. They love them. Stats are meaningless. Is the game good? Gamers know that. People that don't play games, they're like, let's try to twist stats to push an agenda.
Of all genders. And in their more recent results, 70% of players across gender categories reported thinking that it's very important that games feature diverse stories and characters. 80% said they wanted to see characters that reflected their own identity.
Oh, was that the Gina Davis Institute? Yeah. That was on Side Scrollers. Lady Decade was the one that talked about that, and I covered that in a previous video. Yeah, that whole Gina Davis Institute is the epicenter of DEI in gaming. Yep.
But half said they struggled to find such characters in games. 62% of players, who we think vote with their wallets, report that they're more likely to play a video game with characters that are more diverse than what they usually see in games. Okay, that's gender representation in general. Why are we going to talk about dialogue, of all things? Well, as you know, all of you, dialogue is often...
You can tell she's not nervous because she's nervous in general. She's nervous because she knows what she's talking about is bullshit. And even she doesn't believe it. She's peddling this like, oh, I'm nervous. It's just because I'm nervous. No, it's because it's bullshit. There's no confidence in what you're saying because you know you're trying to sell something that isn't even something that exists. You're selling a dream.
Instrumental to player experience. It's how we advance quests, it's how we build relationships, it's how we learn about the world. We also know from studying other kinds of media that it can give us real insight into gender bias and representation, and I'll give you an example of that in just a sec. In our case, we're interested in big data, lots of patterns across games, across the industry, across time. And so one thing that's really valuable about studying dialogue is it can be measured and monitored objectively. So you might recognize these characters. A few years ago, a study was done of how much women speak in Disney films. So in 1950, Cinderella came out, and 60% of the words in that film were spoken by women characters. Roughly 10 years later, Sleeping Beauty came out, and despite the main character spending most of her time asleep, 71% of the dialogue in that film is spoken by women.
I mean, this is the percents mean nothing, because you could take the other approach of, yeah, she's asleep half the movie and there's not much talking during it. So the 71% is meaningless if she's not even in the frame at all throughout the entire movie.
Let's fast forward to the 2010s, the fry pan wielding, action oriented, strong Disney princesses.
That's a great point, Evie. She's talking the entire time and the cuck next to her is just standing there. It's different, I guess, for her. Girls need to be talking all the time, according to her. Yeah, exactly. Meaningless stats 101.
In Tangled, only 52% of the dialogue is spoken by.
Hold on. Did she just say in Tangled only 52% was spoken by girls? Only 52%? That's more than half. What do you mean only? What the fuck? Only 52%. Oh, what are your expectations here, honey? What, I think she just let slip her actual agenda here.
Women.
Only over half, exactly. Holy shit. Hold on, let's rewind that.
The fry pan wielding, action oriented, strong Disney princesses. In Tangled, only 52% of the dialogue is spoken by women.
Oh, it's getting scary, guys. Only 52%. By the way, we're going to rewind it one more time because I want everyone to focus on the sign language girl at the bottom because she really gets into the frying pan section.
The fry pan wielding, action oriented, strong Disney princesses. In Tangled, only 52% of the dialogue is spoken by women. If we fast forward to Frozen, which has two leading ladies, 41% of the dialogue is.
Oh, a movie which has two leading ladies. It's not enough that the movie has two leading ladies. They're only talking almost half the amount of time. It's not enough that the movie literally has two female leads. Are they counting the songs, by the way? Because they sing like half the movie. Like what? How is it only 41%? They must not count the songs. Because what?
Spoken by women. And so we were interested in how we could investigate this kind of patterns.
Exactly.
For games,
They're not
right? Who gets
songs
to speak? What do they say? Who do they say it to? And what do they use language to do?
In order to do that, we built the video game dialogue corpus.
Here we go. He's talking, guys. Silence, woman. The cuck needs to speak.
So it's a collection of dialogue from 60 role-playing games published over the last 30 years. It's got now more than 13,000 characters, 11 million words of dialogue, and it's growing all the time. Each line of dialogue is mapped onto who's speaking and its position in the dialogue tree. And we've spent a long time cleaning and fixing this data. So it now represents the biggest resource for studying dialogue in games.
Now, you guys saw me play that game. What the fuck is he talking about? Seemed like a very basic, hey, advertisement for what we do here. Sign up at our website.
We made a game as well that you can play to learn more about this corpus. We're also building tools to help.
Holy dude. Can you limp wrist? I'm going to, this guy, his name's Sean. I'm going to start calling him Limp Wrist. Is he serious, Captain Limp Wrist here? Look at his hand. What's he doing here?
Visualize and explore this data. So
check the limp wrist. Check it. Check
it. To learn
ready?
More
Ready?
About this,
there it is.
Corpus.
There it is.
We're also building tools to help visualize and explore this data. So here's some of the dialogue tree from Baldur's Gate 3, and you can play. We can look at a demo of this tool on our website.
Who cares? Gender in video games.
But it's one thing to have all the dialogue. You then need to work out
Okay, so this is one of those, she talks 95 to 98% of the time. Got it.
what gender all the characters are. Otherwise, we can't start, determining these patterns. And so for all, well over at this point, 13,000
I love that. That was legit. Like, that's all he said. Now she's back to talking the whole time. Holy shit.
characters, we coded them for what we call their conferred gender. So that's not the gender that the designer necessarily intended. That's not the gender that a random passerby would think of a character.
Exactly. Where is the male representation in this presentation? I feel like it is way too much female representation here. I am offended. And I took it personally.
Saw them on a poster, but rather it's the gender that we think is likely to be attributed to a character by a typical, probably British player, having played the game. So having understood the gender norms of that game world, of that virtual world, what gender identity would they assign to the character? Very happy to answer more questions about that if you've got them. We're not assuming binary gender, we've got innumerable gender categories. And just a point about terminology, sometimes—
What does that mean, not assuming binary gender? What does that mean? She said that so casually, like she didn't even know what it meant. Not assuming binary gender, and then she just goes on to the next bullet point. I would be like, excuse me, what the fuck was that bullet?
refer to characters as female or male. That's because in English there's not a great word that means, for example, little girls and adult women all in one category. But when we use female and male, we're referring to this conferred gender. So we can start by asking, what percentage of dialogue is spoken by women? You want to do a poll?
Yeah.
Somebody kill me now. What the hell are we even watching right now? What is this? Silence, woman. The cuck needs to speak again.
We'll start the bidding. Put your hand up if you think at least 10% of the dialogue is spoken by women. At least 20%. At
Oh, this is interactive now. This is look, they're trying to make it fun, guys.
least 30%, or some hand, at least 40%, at least 50%.
Dude, no one cares.
Any higher, 50% higher, 60%, 70%. No, it's
Put the
gone down.
fries in
And
the
bidding has
bag.
ended. Okay.
Actually, she should probably not be putting fries in any bag. She should not be working at McDonald's. She needs to be working at Gold's Gym. Put her at Gold's Gym. Put the weights on the equipment.
You're spot on, really. So if we count all the words of dialogue in the corpus,
The fries would never
roughly
make it.
2/3, 65%, are spoken by characters who players would deem to be men. Roughly 30%, and almost every hand was up at either 30 or 40%, is spoken by women. Well under 1% is spoken by non-binary and gender minority characters. That in itself is a representation issue.
No, it's not. No, it's not, because it's society at large. You could argue it's 1% of people, if that, well under 1%, identify as non-binary. It's society at large. So this is actually an accurate representation of society. Ironically.
Itself is a whole other talk. Today we're focusing on women, and we'll also often compare them to men because obviously we have more data for that. It's worth saying we polled—
Wait, hold on a second. Quick math here. 35 plus 65 is 100%. How do they have a 1% or under non-binary if the other two already equal 100%?
is a whole other talk.
I guess their total stats go over 100% there.
Today we're focusing on women, and we'll also often compare them to men because obviously we have more data for that. It's worth saying we polled players and they weren't surprised at this. They, like you, guessed that this would be the proportion. Where they were surprised is just how few games are exceptions to the rule. Just how few games have more than 50% of dialogue spoken by women.
I'm like crying right now. Like, what are we doing? What is even happening here? How much longer does this go on for? Holy shit, was this 8 hours? Okay, it's different people throughout it, so they're not there the whole time, but holy. Did she stand this whole time? Oh my God, she's up there for another 20 minutes. I can't do this whole thing, guys. This is brutal.
So if we start by looking at a series, here's Final.
What? Why is that funny? Where was the joke? So if we start by looking at series and everyone just starts laughing.
Fantasy. This is all the main games other than Final Fantasy 16, which we're still working on. A few things to note. The dotted line down the middle of that graph is the 50% mark. Now, older games are at the top.
Imagine spending your days with this as your job. I'm not going to keep watching this. I can't. But I'll leave it at this. Imagine spending your days of just waking up and getting lines of dialogue and text, putting them into a computer, and calculating the percentage of which lines are spoken by men and which ones are spoken by women, and going line by line with the code with all that. Why would you do this? What a waste of life. I've seen waste of life in my life, but my God. And you know the saddest thing about this? This kind of shit is exactly what Microsoft and Bill Gates Foundation eats up. They're like, oh, we were looking for data like that. Yes, that fits our agenda. We will pay you money for that data. These people live for that. That's scary. Activism is hell of a drug. Exactly.
Newer games are at the bottom. So the first thing to notice is just how few games, spoiler 1, crosses that 50% mark. That is only...
Spoiler, how many girls play these games more than men? Spoiler, none of them. And even if they did, why does it matter? Men are the ones that fight historically. Throughout history, like that, the men are the ones that fight battles. Why the fuck would women speak more in a game that's all about fighting? That makes zero sense at all. The fact that there's so much female representation in these games actually speaks volumes.
One of these games has more than 50% of dialogue spoken by women. Now that includes Final Fantasy X2, which has 3 female protagonists. Come more recently, Final Fantasy 15, all-boy party, less than 25% of dialogue in that game is spoken by women.
Oh no.
Now, these aren't meant to be criticisms of the individual games. Obviously, not all games need to have equal representation. We might absolutely have stories that center men, and that seems totally right. The point is the pattern, right? And how few the exceptions are.
You know, the pattern recognition that we are learning as gamers with the grifters in the industry, the pattern that we're seeing is actually, I would argue, far more important than whatever the hell you're saying. Let's fast forward to the end of this because I'm not going to go through this. Oh, did they bring someone else up on stage? Guy looks like Charles Martinet. Tell me that's not Charles Martinet. Okay, it's not.
Transcripts, you can go to the URLs, but we don't, if you were ever to share proprietary data with us, obviously we're not going to put that on the internet.
We've only really got time for a couple of questions. I saw this gentleman on the end of the row first. And then...
My question would be like, yes, I have a question in the back. Why the fuck does anyone care? How does this make games better?
Lady in green, so I'll do those two. That old sorry lady with the
get in the back. Thank you. Yes.
The answer to this might be depressing, but in your research, have you come across, creators or studios or genres even, which do this well, where there are varied topics of conversation, where men and women get equal billing, where there is a good balance of male and female characters, and maybe also some non-binary representation as well? Like, are there good outliers that you've encountered?
Like, what if there was a game that was just all non-binary? It was just 100%, and the gaming industry just got taken over by non-binary. It was 50% non-binary, 40% women talking, and 10% men. Would these people be like, yeah, that's not fair, we need more men speaking? You really think they'd care? No. Their agenda would be pushed forward. They would have won. That's how they look at things.
It's a good question. There are games that do each of these things well. I'm yet to find that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And if you think you have that game, tell me. I think we've yet to find a game that we feel like does all of those things. Is that because often if you've got games that have more women's dialogue, it might still fall prey to some of these stereotypes or some of the pernicious tropes. I mean, sometimes that's fine.
Sometimes the games are intended to be stereotypes. They're intended to play as what the person wanted it to be. If they're starting to change the game to fit an agenda, it completely breaks the creation of what they were trying to make in the first place. The reason why you are not the developer making a game that people want to buy is because you are not talented enough to do that. So instead, you take an activist role saying what the talented people are doing is not okay. And I want you to bend the knee to me and change it to what I want you to do so that I have some sort of reason to exist in this landscape. And you don't. Get out. So tired of these people. I can't with this anymore. I'm sorry. I tried. That's what the game industry is dealing with. And if you don't have strong leadership at the head of a company, you get pushed around so quickly by activists. You need to be an asshole. You have to be bigoted. You really do. You have to go in and be like, no, fuck you. That we're not. No, get out of here. Unfortunately, the industry's been taken over by a bunch of low-T dudes, trans dudes, DEI insertions of women, people that do not belong in the industry, are not just in the industry, but they're in positions of power in the industry. And it's been co-opted to the point so far that now they're bending the knee to these people. And that's how we got to the point that we're at right now. Predon Corpus says, these people are evil. They're too stupid to even realize how fucking stupid they are. They are actively destroying Western civilization, and they think that is a good thing. Well, they're communists. Pure and simple. They're communists. They may not even know that they're a communist. Like they might not think on that plane of existence, but they are. Like at the end of the day, it really does boil down to capitalism versus communism. And every time I go that direction, you got the detractors that are like, oh, he's making it political again. It's like, no, they're making it political. I just want my games, bro. Get these fuckers out of the industry. They're the ones doing it. I'm just recognizing it.